Informed, outspoken, wild, fearless. This is the Fantasy Football Dudes Podcast.
What's up, my dudes? This is Trent with the Fantasy Football Dudes Podcast. This is a little YOLO solo podcast I'm doing here today. I have my week 3 waiver ads just coming off a nice Monday Night Football game. I guess you could say it was nice. Joe Burrow kind of got Jamar Chase. No, he definitely got Jamar Chase involved. If you want to check this whole thing out, go over to YouTube at tffdudes, also available wherever you listen to podcasts. Remember, don't be rude. Share the dudes, really helps us out. Give us a thumbs up wherever you are listening, really helps us out, guys. But Monday Night Football had a little bit of a, we had a little sleeper play. Remember, dudes 100, they'll match up to $100. We were a Puka Nakua reception away from a very nice win for your favorite dudes. It did not hit. But other Monday night recap, DeAndre Swift looks like he's here to stay, even though Gainwell had a lot of carries also, guys. So it's they are giving both backs carries still, but it's looking like I might have been wrong on what I thought with the whole Eagles backfield. DeAndre Swift is being very efficient. Gainwell is still involved, though. But Monday Night Football is over. I know most of you guys are here for the waivers. What about that Mike Evans catch? That was unreal. One of the best catches I've seen in a long time. But waivers, week 3 waivers. Enough about Monday Night Football. I remember why you guys are all really here. You want to know those waivers. And this whole week, we talked about the Dolphins. I'm going to talk about the Dolphins right before I get into waivers. Dolphins delivered a historic performance. They scored impressive 10 touchdowns during the game, even a fun conga line intermission. It was just a good game. It was not just a game. It was an entertaining show, making it hard for everyone not to appreciate. However, there was one minor issue. They could have broke that record if they'd just chosen to kick the field goal, which I don't know why they didn't. They'd already embarrassed the Broncos. Why not go for 3 more points? The Dolphins continue to showcase their speed, fluidity, and agility, resembling the qualities of their aquatic namesake. Now, these fish, I'm talking about this. I had this story lined up, on Tuesday. So speaking of fish-related incidents, my wife's car needed to go to the shop last week, okay? So that means I have 2 car seats in my truck. And just hang with me here a little bit, okay? 2 car seats means snacks. And I love snacks. Just looking at me, you can probably tell. But the problem with snacks is now I got snacks eaten in my car. And that means goldfish, the snack that smiles back. And my 1-year-old daughter, she is a pretty good eater, believe it or not. She just starts dumping goldfish all over my back seat. So what am I supposed to do? It's just me. Had to drop mom off to get the rental car. My truck suited the car seats better, so we kept the car seats in there. So I have to clean up all these goldfish. Well, what can I do? I have to improvise. I'm a dad, right? So did what any other dad would do. I gathered all the stray goldfish up and placed them back in her snack cup. Whether the food landed on the floor, got lost in the seat cushions, it didn't bother her. I wasn't about to waste those delicious snacks, and she didn't notice, okay? And I hope my wife doesn't hear about this, because I'm the type of guy that, maybe you find a Cheerio, a Fruit Loop or something in the couch, it's probably still good. Fruit snacks, those are good forever. But this whole experience got me thinking about fantasy football. And just because someone drops a player from their roster, doesn't necessarily mean that player is worthless. Last week, you heard about on our show, we witnessed someone drop DeAndre Swift in their league on waivers right before Thursday Night Football, and he goes bananas, and now here he is back-to-back 100-plus yard games. So another man's trash just means another man's treasure, okay? So just like the 5-second rule with drop snacks, it's essential, guys, to keep your eye on the waiver wire in the list of recently dropped players in your fantasy football league. You might find that hidden gem that can boost your team's performance. So while I'm going through this, talking about waivers, maybe these guys aren't on your waivers now. Go check the waiver wire and see what your knucklehead brother-in-law, who he dropped. It could have been something really good, just like those goldfish that fell in between my seat. And I'm sure I'll keep finding them for the months to come. Enough talk about the snack that smiles back. Not a sponsor, but what is a sponsor is Sleeper, like I said. And below are my favorite waiver wire options. All the roster percentages are brought to you by Sit Sleeper, and they're all below 68% rostered. If you're looking for the ultimate fantasy football experience, consider switching your league to Sleeper today. They also have some exciting picks, like I said. And if you use the promo code DUDES100, they will match you up to $100. All the rankings done in this episode are brought to you by PFF, and they were all done before Monday Night Football. So week 4 waivers, guys. Let's get it started. I got some graphics on YouTube, so go check it out there. And that way you can screenshot these, see all the roster percentages, all that good stuff, and then go to your waiver wire in case you don't want to write it down. All the images are right there on YouTube. Go check it out. I made it real easy for you guys. So here we go. And starting off, quarterbacks. CJ Stroud, 32% rostered, appears to be the best rookie quarterback this season. He's really elevated himself as QB1 into QB1 territory, probably high QB2, low QB1. Stroud's made Houston's offense look efficient, which is something we haven't seen in Houston since Deshaun Watson was throwing up balls to DeAndre Hopkins. So go ahead, check out Stroud. He's QB2 on the season. So according to PFF, go check that out, guys. CJ Stroud, he's playing pretty good football. And this is a guy that's most likely on your waiver wire. Number 2, Jordan Love. He was on the list last week, 67% rostered, just barely making the list by 1%. QB4 for the season, has recorded 3 consecutive 20-point performances and staged impressive 17-point comeback. He is still without Christian Watson, but I love the matchup this week versus Detroit. QB5 on the season. Go check your waiver wire for Christian Watson. This is a boring pick, guys. But it's safe, okay? And sometimes you just want to be safe in fantasy football. Maybe you're projecting a bunch of points. Who am I kidding? No one's going for safety in fantasy football, but it's on here anyways. If you just have a good team and you just want to do a nice little double-digit quarterback play, I don't know. It's pretty good. Brock Purdy, 64% rostered. Probably the safest QB play of the week. Cardinals against the Cardinals. The Cardinals aren't likely to upset 2 undefeated teams in a row. Lock Purdy in for 15 points this week. While I don't see the huge upside, like I said, I do expect a double-digit performance. Stream of the week. This is ugly. Just plug your nose and eat it. Russell Wilson, 52% rostered. This is really gross. He has a great matchup this week versus the Bears. He's QB8 on the season, guys. So Russell Wilson, and I got the image here on the screen for you. Recapping that, I have CJ Stroud, 32% rostered, QB10 on the season. Jordan Love, 67% rostered, QB4 on the season. And Brock Purdy, 64% rostered. And if you guys are just not doing good in your fantasy football, go over to Underdog. It's the dude's favorite place to play best ball. They also have some other fantasy football fun. You can do drafts with friends every week. Every week has a new weekly draft. It's not even a season long, for as low as $3. Win some cash. It's a nice little, maybe your fantasy season, you're not happy with it. Maybe you want to draft again. I am addicted to fantasy football. My favorite part about fantasy football is the draft. So Underdog is a great place for the drafts. So go check out Underdog, guys. Tell them the dude sent you. Promo code DUDES. They will match you up to $100. Going into the running backs, guys. Running back room. Devon Achane. We already talked about Goldfish. We already talked about the Dolphins. Devon Achane is 46% rostered. He delivered one of the craziest Dolphins performances since Ronnie Brown's invention of the Wildcat against the Patriots. I believe that was in 2008. We're just one injury away from Achane potentially becoming the bell cow back. While the Dolphins excelled against the Broncos, they face a tougher test this week against Buffalo. Regardless, Achane is a must-add in all fantasy formats, okay? RB3 flex play this week. RB4 on the season with just one big blow-up game. I think Devon Achane did too much for them to not have him involved. I don't know what his snap percentages will be from this point forward. Like we talked about on our week 3 recap, what happens to Salvin Ahmed and Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson's been with McDaniels for a long time. I think Achane is too talented, too fast to not see the field. I expect him to start pulling away. This week, we'll really see a little bit more, though. So go check your waiver wire for Devon Achane. I think he said he wants it to be a little different. I know Adam Schefter tweeted this today, but I'm just going to say what I've been taught, how I read it. And maybe if he has another blow-up game, I'll learn how to read his name correctly. Number 2, not as exciting, Jaylen Warren, 63% rostered, is an unattractive ad, but could see more volume with an injury. Currently, he's getting some work and got 45, check there, 45% of the snaps on Sunday night compared to Najee Harris's 50% of the snaps. And this is just a hold and wait if you can. He's getting plays. Maybe you hope the Steelers start getting blown out and they put him in to catch passes. He might be more game script, but he's seeing the field where you've seen the field enough that you just want to play him. And then last, I have Rico. I should be able to say this as a Cowboys fan. Rico Dowdle, 4% rostered, scored the only TD for Dallas on Sunday, but played only 14% of the snaps. No need to start him as long as Pollard's healthy. Pollard broke his ankle last year. He got turf toe the year before. Pollard is, he's a little bit of a Ferrari. You gotta, change the oil, all that good stuff. Check the tires. So I would stash Rico for now because that's a good team to have a starting running back in it. And my other hold is Keontae Ingram, back up to James Conner, who is very injury prone his whole entire career. So add Keontae Ingram. And again, my whole entire list on YouTube is I have Devon A-Chain, 46% rostered, must add Jaylen Warren, 63% rostered, and Rico Dowdle, 4% rostered. And I feel like I am absolutely butchering his name. I am so sorry about that, Uncle Rico. Anyways, going to throw it over to our wide receivers. Actually, I got to roll the dice play here for running backs. Just a nice little fun one. Latavius Murray has TDs in back-to-back games. Ultimate running back vulture. He's doing James Cook dirty. He's even taken some, touchdown rushes from Josh Allen. As a guy who has Josh Allen and James Cook, I really wish that Latavius Murray would just leave the Bills alone. So throwing it over to the wide receiver, I have Tank Dell, 48% rostered, must add after 2 consecutive double-digit games. Clearly Stroud's favorite target. He had 7 targets, 5 receptions, 145 receiving yards versus the Jaguars. This week they take on Pittsburgh, where they likely will have to throw the ball. Tank is wide receiver 8 on the season. He looks really good, guys. Go add your boy Tank. Number 2, this is a little 2A, 2B. Josh Palmer, 5% rostered, and Quentin Johnson is 51% rostered. Both considering Mike Williams is most likely out for season. I don't know, maybe I've heard that that's for sure. It's looking like he's out for season. One of these Chargers pass catchers will see increased volume, while Johnson is the preferred choice, I think, for most fantasy football people. Palmer is also a viable ad. I like Quentin for the higher upside play. Next, this one shocks me. Old Faithful, Adam Thielen, 58% rostered. Put up huge numbers in week 3 with Andy Dalton throwing him the ball. He faces his former team, revenge game, Minnesota Vikings, and he has recorded back-to-back double-digit performances at the age of 33. Thielen is wide receiver. I'm going to say he was wide receiver 9 on the season at the moment I made this list. I don't know if Jamar Chase is passing up with that big Monday night performance, but Thielen is still getting it done. Wide receiver 4, I have Marvin Mims, 27% rostered, deserves more YOLO balls from Russell Wilson. They need to find a way to get this rookie the ball more. He had 5 targets, 3 catches, 73 yards, and a kick return for a touchdown. So if your league has those kick returns for touchdowns, not saying they'll happen again, but it's nice having a playmaker out there that's, catching kicks. I don't know how many, and they're getting scored on a lot. So potentially a lot of kick returns for him. Should have a bigger role in this offense and has a favorable matchup this week against the Chicago Bears. And speaking of Chicago Bears, there's tickets as low as $2.11 right now. If you're in the Chicago area and you want to go to a game, I don't know, those are pretty cheap tickets. Maybe you'd rather just, buy a packet of Hostess and stay home, or use that money for sleeper picks or whatever. But $2.11 for a National Football League game sounds like a steal. Maybe I shouldn't talk about steals in Chicago after what happened to their stadium this past week. Sorry, it's too soon. This is the last guy I put to my list for wide receivers, Tutu Atwell. He was an addition after the Monday Night Football game, 65% rostered. And Stafford locked into him. He hurt your dudes tonight. Puka needed one more catch for your dudes to make some really good cash. Don't worry. Scared money don't make money. We'll be back. We aren't done yet. he deserves to be on the list with those 9 targets he got tonight. So that is all my wide receivers. Recapping the wide receivers, I have Tank Dell 48% rostered, Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnson. Johnson at 51%, Josh Palmer at 5%. Adam Thielen, 58% rostered. Revenge game. Maybe he has one more good game in the tank. We'll see. Marvin Mims, 27% rostered. All right, tight ends, my favorite here. Tight ends, we have, and I think this is the biggest beneficiary from Mike Williams not playing. Donald Parham could be the biggest add here for tight ends. Williams out for the season. So far, he's been touchdown dependent with 3 TDs on the season. Standing at 6'8", he is an absolutely ginormous red zone target for Justin Herbert. Donald is tight end 6 on the season. Add Donald to your team. And then next, I have Jake Ferguson, again, 34% rostered, had the same number of targets as CeeDee Lamb against Arizona. Look for Dak to keep force-feeding Ferguson, tight end 11 on the season. Luke Musgrave, still on the list, 25% rostered, saw 8 targets on Sunday, is still trying to find the end zone, tight end 12 on the season. Not sure if I think he might get better when Watson gets there, just take a little pressure off him. I know Ferguson, Musgrave, I still think those guys are too low. Add them before their touchdown blowups and then when everybody wants to add them. Honorable mentions, I have Sam Laporta. He's up there, guys. This guy's a monster. I figured I need to add him because he's 73% rostered. There's still a good chance he's on your waiver wire. I know I said 68%. Laporta's too good for me to not mention him. So be diligent. Double check your waiver wire. Also, Patriots tight ends. I had Hunter Henry is tight end 2 on the season, I believe. I don't have that in writing. I believe that's what I saw. Pharaoh Brown had a huge TD this week against the Jets, and I think Hunter Henry returns to form. Mac Jones loves targeting the big guys. Ask Sauce Gardner about that. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this, be sure to check out our weekly fantasy football podcast or check us out on YouTube. Don't miss our week 3 preview on Thursday. And remember, don't be rude. Share the dudes, guys. It really helps us out. And really, honestly, my favorite waiver wire pick I forgot to mention is the modern man. The modern man's the man who takes care of himself. Manscaping isn't just for life special occasions. It's a requirement. For those hard to navigate, sensitive areas, you now have the right tools to take care of your dudes. Go to Manscaped, enter promo code DUDES20, and they will give you 20% off your whole entire order. Really helps us out, guys. And yeah, that does it. I think I saved the best waiver ad for last. As always, don't be rude, share the dudes, and take care.
This has been another episode of the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast. Remember to rate, review, and follow. For more information, go to www.thefantasyfootballdudes.com. And remember, we are sorry for absolutely nothing.